Ahmed Timol's nephew, Imtiaz Cajee, has written a book about his uncle who died at the notorious John Vorster Square police station in 1971. Cajee has been at the forefront of reopening a second inquest into the murder of his uncle. In 2017, that inquest overturned the 1972 verdict that Timol committed suicide. Cajee joins us via Skype now to talk about his book titled The Murder of Ahmed Timol, My Search for the Truth. And a very good morning to you. What an incredible search and amazing cathartic results. Tell us about how you've put your journey down into this book.
Good morning, Jane. Yes, it's been a very, very long and tedious journey. Started at the age of 12 with the departure of my other uncle, Mohammed, who had to go into exile as he was banned and facing a house arrest. And spending many, many hours with my maternal grandmother, which was Ahmed Timol's mother, to find out what transpired. Accompanied her to the TRC. Listened to her breaking down and begging and pleading as to what happened to her beloved son and who had handed him over to the security branch police. And that triggered me to constructively do something, Jane, not just to talk about my beloved uncle. And that led me on the path of publishing my first book in 2005 titled Timol Quest for Justice. But that book was written as an obedient nephew, Jane, to put the biography of Uncle Ahmed in the public domain. Which had never happened since the dawn of democracy. But there were many, many unanswered questions specifically relating to his method of arrest, because the security branch had always claimed that he was arrested by chance, and this was something that I always contested. And then obviously fast forward with the assistance of the Foundation for Human Rights and Yasmin Suka to set up a team to assist me, to successfully reopen the 1972 inquest, reversing the verdict in 2017 stating that my uncle did not commit suicide but was murdered in police detention. And yes, after many, many years of hard work, finally to get the book in the public domain and to ensure that my beloved uncle's legacy is preserved, and more importantly, the issues pertaining to his arrest is confronted directly.
And what you learnt about the way the apartheid-era government worked, especially from a legal point of view, in that inquest when Magistrate de Villiers found him to have jumped to his death. I should imagine it must have been really hard hearing that, reading those words, and also exposing how many people have been, how many questions are still unanswered coming from that period.
No, most certainly, Jane. I mean, I read the newspaper cuttings of the 72 inquest for years on end. And again, one must commend the media at that time, to be so brave and bold enough, to expose the apartheid regime for covering up the death of my uncle. And the entire inquest was a cover-up. And the way George Bezos stated in his book that, in so many cases, nobody was to blame. And the unfortunate reality, Jane, is that, in my uncle's matter, we've been fortunate and blessed, to have the inquest reopened and the findings reversed. And obviously, the inquest into the death of Dr. Neil Agate has started this year. Sometime in the upcoming future, the inquest into the death of Dr. Hussein Haffajee will be starting. We hope that the inquest into the death of Imam Harun will start later in the year. The inquest into the disappearance of Nokutula Similani. But the unfortunate reality, Jane, is that there are many, many other families out there who are desperately waiting for specifically the NP and the Hawks to give them some indication as to when their matters will be open.
I mean, your story is a perfect example of some of the problems that we face here, the fact that it took you so long and that it wasn't an easy process.
No, most certainly. And when I approached the Foundation for Human Rights, I did not approach them with nothing on the table, Jane. I had conducted the investigation, I had interviewed witnesses, I had published a book, and on that particular basis, when Yasmin Suka brought in the team, the majority of the work had already been done. But, I'm doing additional research, and, if you just look at the death of Ashley Creel in the Western Cape, and how Jeff Benzine was granted amnesty, when it is very evident based on the forensic evidence presented by Professor or Dr. David Kletso, that Ashley Creel was murdered, he was assassinated while he was handcuffed. And yet Jeffrey Benzine got amnesty. And in 2016, if you do the research, the Hawks announced that they were reinvestigating the death of Ashley Creel. And more than 4 years later, Jane, absolutely nothing has transpired.
Well, yeah, that's just not good enough, is it? I know that there's a lot out there, but in order for any sort of closure and to find out more about our history, we need these questions answered. Thank you very much for talking to us about your book, The Murder of Ahmed Timol, My Search for the Truth.